Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most here, Tiki.
And BlueDragonFive here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount a spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up in your best Space Ranger garb, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's selection, NOS 4A2. Oh god. NOS402? Really? They went there? Really? 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 Really?
Well, yes, obviously.
You know what, BlueDragonFive? This is all a ruse. I actually really like this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Yay! I'm
April
happy.
Fools.
Oh, you.
I know. So before we went on air, I was like, I don't know, BlueDragonFive, like, I did not like this episode. I thought the NOS402 thing was stupid. No. Are you kidding me? I love the NOS402 thing. I thought that was a great device.
Oh, that pleases me so much. Oh, you cruel.
All right.
Traitor, you.
I'm glad that you get enjoyment out of me pulling your leg sometimes. No, seriously, man. This was a really good episode. I have some qualms about it being like a Halloween episode, like if it fits with that genre, but just kind of being like a creepy, like I say right in the description, it's a fucking robot vampire. Like, how is that not awesome? Unless it's, of course, like, oh, I can't go out in the sun unless I, or else I'll sparkle. It's not that kind of vampire, people. It's
no, we're talking deep cuts vampires, folks. We're talking about the originals. We're talking about this is kind of in the range between Lugosi and Christopher Lee type vampire. That's where we're at with this. It's kind of our range of classic vampire there.
I would say that XR is a very, very bad Lugosi impression. Intentionally bad.
Of course.
Before we jump into it, do you want to kind of briefly address the pilot episode that got me more into the series than I already was?
Sure, but with that was kind of like the show in general was like kind of my nostalgic connections to it, because again that was kind of the intro to everything. Because at this point, folks,
you don't mind me? I'm gonna fix the lighting because it's bugging the crap out of me.
Okay.
I look all glowy. Hold on.
Just one second. Anyway, so yeah, this episode to me just kind of took me back to my childhood. What I really loved about this show, and some big nostalgic connections I had because kids. Let me take it back in time for a moment here. Dig, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Taking you back in time?
Yeah, let me take it back in time here, folks.
Are you taking us back to the past, Samurai Jack?
No. But around, if I'm remembering this correctly, Buzz Lightyear Star Command was coming out just after Toy Story 2.
Indeed, correct.
Because the beginning of the movie that was kind of basically, it was riding high off the success of Toy Story, obviously, with, the opening Toy Story 2 being the Buzz Lightyear video game and a lot of stuff based on that. And interestingly enough, the original Toy Story had a deleted opening sequence that eventually was repurposed into Toy Story 2, which I hear is some stuff we might be getting with the future of Toy Story.
So I was wondering, I was going to ask you that. Is that opening to Star Command considered canon?
Well, it's a little up in the air because people usually, the sticking point with them with that is that the LGMs are kind of, they shouldn't be in there because they're Pizza Planet aliens, but I don't see why you can't cross-pollinate.
But by the same argument, I would argue that Buzz Lightyear is a popular franchise, and he would have little spin-off characters. If you have characters like the LGMs in a Buzz Lightyear type franchise, why wouldn't you spin those off and sell plushies out of them You have the plushies of the LGMs. Those work great in a Pizza Planet restaurant. That's, you know, you put those all in a vending machine. LGMs are connected to Buzz Lightyear, which is a really popular franchise at the time in the Toy Story universe. Can you tell I'm thinking way too much about this?
Well, yeah, it's like a cross-promotion thing.
But you know what I mean? I feel like if you break it down, it makes a ton of sense. You know, it doesn't really take a genius to kind of connect the dots with it.
Yeah, but folks, see, the idea was in the original Toy Story was to open with a Buzz Lightyear 2D cartoon about, you know, basically him foiling Zurg. Not today, Zurg, which of course is where he got the line in the end of the movie. You know, not today. We're not going to be blown up today by the rocket. And, you know, it was just going to be like a 2D cartoon, him foiling Zurg, who looked very different from his parents in Toy Story 2. But then they repurposed that into kind of a video game opening, and it went over so well, such a cool idea, I guess. Again, it came out after the movie because we have the opening with them literally, again, fourth wall breaking, and it's awesome. Putting the VHS tape. I have this VHS tape. It was so cool. It's like, yeah, you get a toy with the movie in a way.
Right.
The toys literally put in the VHS tape to watch it. And Tim Allen even lent his voice to the pilot movie.
Which is great. Which was awesome. We'll talk a little bit about Patrick Warburton's performance. I think it's fine. I think there's some points where it really definitely shines.
No, certainly. That's the thing. Patrick Warburton's a fine person to step in for Buzz Lightyear for this show. Because usually the other Buzz Lightyear we have for the commercial and stuff, mainly as a sound-alike Buzz Lightyear, is Pat Fraley.
Okay.
Now he is like, it's like how Jim Hanks is the now it's coming to light nowadays because people didn't, I guess it wasn't public knowledge, and people are kind of blown away by, oh my God, that's Tom Hanks' brother doing the voice of Woody. But now it's like
the Disneyland promotional stuff and
yeah, basically anything that's not the movies, that's probably Jim Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that's not the movies and occasionally a few commercials. Depends how involved Pixar is with it. Then Tom Hanks is probably involved. Anyway, so the point is, the success of that appearance kind of sparked interest in this movie. They just kind of ran with the idea. What show is Buzz Lightyear based off of? That's the idea. It was a popular TV show, and he wanted the toy from it. And there you go. So what kind of show would it be?
So the really fun thing about The Adventure Continues or The Adventure Begins or whatever.
Yeah.
Adventure Begins?
Yeah, Adventure Begins.
Okay. Just making sure. The really, really fun thing about that is just, like, right off the bat, right from the very get-go in the opening action scene, you are seeing, like, all of Buzz's iconic toy features being brought to life in a practical action setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
it's like, how cool is that?
For the show, and I hope you got this just in the episode we watched for this. In the opening, basically it has the opening like the Adventure Begins of, like, you know, the toys gathering around to watch it on a TV set. So the idea is really they put.
Oh no, I got that. I definitely got that.
So sometimes they have variations on it, which is kind of funny. Of like Zurg sometimes, like, you know, shoots Buzz with the plastic yellow balls, or sometimes Buzz, like, he slams against the TV. Like, some variations on the opening.
What I want to know is if this cartoon actually exists in the Toy Story universe.
That's the thing. Well, as far as I'm concerned, as a kid and still to this day, I'm convinced that it's the cartoon Buzz Lightyear is based off of. It has to be, because, you know, I mean,
it has to be.
I mean,
and
the toys are
Wayne Knight has to be Big Al doing voiceover work.
Yes, which was I remember I was speculating on that. Yeah, it has to, maybe it's
it all makes sense. It's like our little speculation kind of like coming full circle in a way.
And that's probably why he has such a huge Buzz Lightyear section in Al's Toy Barn. You know,
I'm like, I saw that VHS tape in Toy Story, and I was like, "There's our proof, Big Al is Zurg." Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, Adventure Begins is always this great thing. I remember just rewatching it, kind of looking back, it still holds up really well. You know, it's a great showcase of the series.
It holds up a lot better than I thought it would, because you have to remember, I'm a big fan of, like, the Disney afternoon stuff, and while I'll admit I love it for nostalgia value, I'm not going to say that DuckTales is, like, the greatest animated series of all time or anything like that. It might be among my favorites, but having said that, it's so nostalgic that I can't help but just overlook some of its flaws.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, my connection with the show, again, after seeing the movie, The Adventure Begins with VHS tape, and of course then went to series, it was kind of one of my placeholders after Batman the Animated Series until I kind of reunited with that. It was like, in addition to Dragon Ball Z, my Saturday mornings consisted of some of the finest Disney programming, which of course had Recess and Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
Yeah, but fuck one Saturday morning on ABC.
Yeah. But seriously though,
it's all about the Disney afternoon, bitch.
I'm serious. They had they had a great lineup of shows on the Saturday mornings.
No. I hear you. I think they kind of lent themselves to each other. Disney Afternoon kind of set the format, and then I think one Saturday morning, the artistry and the writing kind of just kicked up a notch, and it was a whole different thing. So yeah, I'm just quoting Nostalgia Critic. I think one Saturday morning was probably the better lineup when you look at it objectively.
Yeah, and I forget like how Kim Possible fit into that. I forget I think she was more of like an afternoon thing.
No, she was definitely one Saturday morning.
I think however, I think is that when they repeated it, and you know how the networks kind of go they have the.
I think one of the last afternoon shows was stuff like the Mighty Ducks, and then like that awful DuckTales reboot, the Quack Pack.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
extreme.
Kim Possible, after the movie, they kind of shifted time, so I think they might have reruns might have played.
Hello. You there? Oh dear. Well, it appears that BlueDragonFive has had technical difficulties for a change. This really happens. Can you hear me, BlueDragonFive? Hello? All right, let me just pull up the chat really quick. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay. Go out and come back in, sir. So anyways, I'll just kind of reiterate my experience with this. I just watched it today, just this afternoon, the Adventure Continues thing. And like I said, it was just so cool seeing stuff like the little green men in action and their role and their function and everything. And it really did feel like it just fleshed out the Toy Story mythology and the Buzz Lightyear mythology at the same time.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, we're good. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay. We're good.
But again, we was gushing over the Saturday morning connections I have the show. But let me make this point about the pilot and the main difference between the movie and the series.
I have a point too that I want to make really quick about the Disney Afternoon stuff. About DuckTales and stuff like that. So they all, literally all of those shows, DuckTales, Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, didn't matter, Tailspin, didn't matter what it was. All those shows would do a same sort of format to Star Command, where they would basically just take their first 5 episodes and be it wasn't necessarily a movie, but it'd be like a story arc. And Nostalgia Critics talked about this a little bit. And while that was fun, that was kind of it was a neat sort of expansive story, one continuous narrative to get all the characters introduced. And of course, because VHS was really big back then, Disney will get a lot of bucks selling the, hey, it's DuckTales, the first 5 episodes on VHS, one continuous story. And I feel like what Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Continues did was basically establish yeah, that's the format that they went with before, and it worked well. It worked good from a marketing perspective, but I feel like The Adventure Continues just perfected it because that was a movie. And it's funny because, you have Wallace Shawn literally hyping it up at the beginning oh boy, I can't believe we're going to get a Buzz Lightyear movie. This is inconceivable. And I'm I don't know, Rex. I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. And then at the end, I'm hey, that was a legitimately really well put together Buzz Lightyear movie. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Last thing I said before hopefully I'm going to have, okay connection during this whole thing, by the way. But what I was, yeah, right. Well, what I was saying is, I mentioned Kim Possible that when it came back, it probably played in the afternoon with repeats. That's what I was thinking of, by the way. But anyway, so I noticed a big difference between the movie and the series, though, is that the movie had some great emotional moments. It had some really fantastic standout moments. The series had some great moments, but it was never as emotionally impactful as the movie, though.
Well, I think that's because with the movie, you know what the movie essentially is?
What is it?
It's fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh wow, yeah, I never thought of that.
It's just a bunch of a-holes just coming together for their own
hey.
selfish reasons
Yeah,
and
I
forming a really good cohesive team together.
I can't abide by Buzz Lightyear being called an a-hole. I just want to make that.
Well, no, but Buzz Lightyear is characterized in that movie as being a bit egotistical. You can't deny that.
Well, you know.
Look, I'm not calling him an a-hole.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
going by Star-Lord's terminology. You know what I mean? Like,
All right.
they got my dick message. Look, all I'm saying is that they're a bunch of roguish characters that come together in a space setting. It's very Guardians-esque.
But I mean, just the main thing will always stick with me from that movie, the most emotional, is just seeing, again, with the Tim Allen version, it's even better. Just the opening of that movie with the death of the quote-unquote death of warp dark matter. Oh, man. Just the idea of Buzz Lightyear having this partner, but basically pulling a Batman with Buzz Lightyear, just as a kid, just always kind of shook me of, oh my god, this is fantastic.
Yeah, that was like heavy stakes to go into it with. Like,
and they
Buzz
played
saying,
it so realistically too.
They did, and they like held on to it like throughout half the movie. Buzz is very persistent. Like, I am not going to go out there with a partner.
And something I really like that Tim Allen never gets enough credit for. He does great drama. He never gets a chance to play a lot of drama. When he does,
No,
it's
he
so
does.
great.
He doesn't. You're right.
Even
You're
in
right.
some bad movies he's in, if there are a few, even in those movies like Jungle to Jungle, not the best movie, but seriously, the scenes he gets to play, when he gets to play
Jungle to Jungle.
I'm serious.
Really? That's your go-to for serious Tim Allen acting.
I'm saying even in
Jungle
a movie,
Boy.
even in a movie like that,
Okay. Okay.
you have a few moments like father-son moments. Really, okay, that's some good
No,
stuff.
I hear you. I totally hear you. I have my nostalgia feels for Jungle to Jungle as well.
Of course, a great example of it, Galaxy Quest, fantastic performance right there.
That's one of the better examples. For sure.
Absolutely. But you see what I'm saying? It's kind of neat to see him get to play some drama and also get to play some great comedy too. I'm not getting a nose ring.
And of course, part of it was definitely the animation and the Randy Newman music. I don't really know how much of it was really Tim Allen, but the whole "I'll Go Sailing No More" song in Toy Story is just the most fucking heartbreaking thing.
Of course, but I mean, no Tim Allen speaking at all in that sequence, but it's just so impactful because you got
But
that.
I feel like Tim Allen's vocal performance throughout the rest of the movie really kind of like builds itself to that moment, if you know what I mean.
Well, of course, one of the best things Tim Allen has joked about this too. It's really funny that one of the best scenes in the movie, the Woody and Buzz, kind of Woody talking Buzz out of his depression moment. Tim Allen says very little. He only has like one thing to say, and he points out like he's saying nothing. He's so moved by the performance, and he's not saying anything.
Right. Okay, so really
yeah,
quick, we need to transition back to the episode at hand.
Yeah, point is, the movie was a great establishes the premise of the show. You know, we get our team forming together. This episode is in the vein of like this in the first season. This early on in the first season. It's like episode 6, not counting the 3-part movie. So it's I guess it's like 9 technically. The point is, it's still with them just getting used to the idea of being a team within like the first 10 episodes. I guess it's not a lot of interconnectivity except for the monsters, and this is my main point here. So. The monsters, however, there were 3 monster-esque characters. There was Nose 4A2, there was XL, and there was this character who I forget his human name, but potentially he was the Moon Wolf, who was the episode we were discussing before.
Right.
So the idea that they all have very fantastic, interesting origins, basically like a Frankenstein, a werewolf, and a vampire, and they did team up at some point. It was really kind of a cool idea, and they all are kind of linked to each other. Like Nose 482 bites a human ranger that was like the one space ranger who was just he didn't think Buzz Lightyear was a bad guy or anything, but he just thought he was like everyone always like he worked with Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear saved him. He never heard the end. Like people always come out to, hey, aren't you that guy Buzz Lightyear saved? And it's like ugh. Essentially, he gets bit by Nose 482 and he's hit by lunar radiation and he turns into a robotic werewolf, and it's awesome.
See, this is what I love about this show, in addition to the whole, like, just kind of taking the Buzz Lightyear trope seriously, is just, like, we can do crazy sci-fi shit like this.
Now, let me just say this before we get into this about the show as a whole with the characters, because one of the most famous, at least one of the most iconic villains is in this episode. Buzz Lightyear Star Command had some of the best villains you could imagine, really. So for a Buzz Lightyear Star Command show, some of the really cool villains. And the world building was so great in the show.
That definitely struck me with those first 3 episodes.
And I mean, now that you mention this, I kind of got a vibe of this. I'm just kind of remembering it from way back when we saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Nowhere reminds me a lot of this one planet in it kind of, I think I brought up when we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy, seriously, that
Oh dear.
Buzz Lightyear of Star Command had all these really unique planets that had these destined kind of these world premises. Like Trade World is like the underground black market planet with all it's like kind of the low rent neighborhood where you have shady characters all over the place.
Sure.
So there's a lot of like nowhere, and it's kind of like similarity between the two. And Buzz Lightyear Star Command had that great thing, all these different it's Star Wars meets Guardians of the Galaxy in a way with all the planets. Unique.
But it's also just totally Toy Story, and it's basically like everything that we've seen from the Toy Story movies in relationship to like Buzz Lightyear and the little green men and everything, and just totally like made into a practical like action sci-fi space opera kind of thing.
Exactly. Okay, so let's jump into it. We
Let's
can
jump
touch on
into
this
it.
all day, but let's just again, you've only seen 2 episodes after the movie, and this is just all some.
No, but I will tell you that these episodes that I've seen definitely kind of have drawn me in a lot more than what you threw me into with the Christmas episode, where I was like, what is going on? I don't know who half these people are. I don't know why they're
But this is
working
actually
together.
this is early enough. This is the origin of a villain, and it's pretty clear cut and simple. And to get some great.
But I'm really glad I watched the pilot too, because the pilot did really do a good job of setting up like who all the main characters were. And if you remember, that was something I was very confused by in the Christmas episode.
Okay, so we start the episode. A cargo ship is en route to the Gamma Quadrant, which, of course, something it's been established in Toy Story and the movie. Whole Buzz Lightyear is kind of stationed in the Gamma Quadrant. That's his it's like how Hal Jordan has the Earth is like section. I forget what the number was. Like I want to say 2418, but it was like, anyway. You know, everyone. It's like. That's essentially Star Command is a lot like the Green Lantern Corps. They always have sections they patrol over, you know? It's like
I kind of noticed that, yeah, just in the brief time I've been watching.
So when I heard like the whole story behind the Green Lantern closing, a guy with the ring, I found out the whole space connection. Like, that's exactly Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Space cops. And of course,
so Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is essentially both Guardians of the Galaxy and Green Lantern.
It's Green Lantern and the Nova Corps, exactly.
With a little bit of Star Wars mixed in, just for good measure, of
It's
course.
precisely the Nova Corps, really. It's like space cops. And it's awesome. Okay, anyway, so a cargo ship's en route to the Gamma Quadrant, and it's hijacked by warp dark matter and a legion of Zurg's Hornet robots.
And you're right. I'm really glad I saw this guy's origin story, because now he has, of course, a lot more weight than if it was just like, oh, hey, this is just some random villain that I have no idea about.
Now, 2 things. One, I want to say my comparison to warp dark matter, for those who may not be too familiar with him, essentially he's kind of like Boba Fett mixed with Harvey Dent.
I definitely did get a Boba Fett vibe off of him in the first episode, for sure.
Because they sold him as Boba Fett, then when you get to know him, he's a lot like Harvey Dent in a way, to a Buzz Lightyear title, the fallen guy to corruption in a way.
I guess I could see that, but I feel like he was corrupt more than Harvey Dent was.
I'm saying that's like a
whereas Harvey Dent was corrupted by an accident.
Yeah.
I feel like Warp was corrupt right from the beginning of the movie, and they had seeds of it sown in, like him being all like, "Oh well, you know, we don't have to file as much paperwork if we don't stick to regulations." Stuff like that, I'll admit, was kind of like a giveaway with his character.
Yeah, it's like a broad approximation. It's kind of like my fun little nickname for it would be like he's like L.A. Harvey Dent.
L.A. Harvey Dent. Oh dear. Well, okay. Well, that's fine. I don't really know what you mean, but let's keep going.
Well, I mean, the way this bridges to my second point. So, again, Buzz Lightyear Star Command, one of the famous things with the show, as we mentioned with Wayne Knight, has an all-star voice cast. And, of course, Warp Dark Matter, voiced by the wonderful, the incomparable Diedrich Bader.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, the great Patrick Warburton.
By the way, I actually think could do a really good Harvey Dent, by the way, Diedrich Bader. I never really get to say that with this guy. I think he'd actually be good for that character. But that's an unrelated topic, sorry. Points, Warp Dark Matter's hijacking thing, the swarmy guy with all these, he's making fun of everyone, you know, he's just really kind of cool character, Warp Dark Matter. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely kind of like you said, definitely the bounty hunter type. I get the feeling like his interactions with Zurg are very fascinating, because you can always tell that he thinks Zurg is just kind of an idiot.
Yes.
And whereas Zurg is just kind of like gloating over him and just like, in a way, it's almost kind of like an I'm number one, you're number two.
Yes, but of course, Warp knows.
I'm number one!
Now,
number two.
Now, Warp again. He'll sardonically mock Zurg constantly, but he'll never like go over the line where he knows like, okay, I can't get on his bad side too much, or he's going to kill me.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it's plus there are episodes in the series that do kind of go into the backstory between Buzz Lightyear and Warp Dark Matter. And the idea with these two, it's kind of brilliant, is that it's Buzz. They're such a counter opposite to each other. Buzz Lightyear's like it's kind of like the Jim Gordon kind of Harvey Bullock route.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Well, more like it's like, but it's Jim Gordon Flash from year one. Really, it's like that's the main dynamic. It's that
you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was the vibe I was getting off these two almost immediately.
Yeah, that's actually the more apt description. You watch year ones. That's why I brought that up. But yeah, so
right.
It's basically you get to see an episode. It's a flashback where these aliens kidnap Warp and Buzz Lightyear, and basically you scan their brains to show flashbacks of like seeing can good triumph over evil, and it's like you see Warp Dark Matter way back in the Academy days, still on Zurg's payroll, and all that stuff. Just really, just never being a good person from the get-go, and still having a soft spot for Buzz Lightyear.
So that's my whole thing. I think this guy is definitely a little bit more corrupt than a Harvey Dent, whereas Harvey Dent, like other people, corrupted him. This guy almost kind of reminds me of like Saruman from Lord of the Rings, where he's just going where the power's going.
Right.
Okay. Anyways.
Anyway, so Buzz Lightyear and the Rangers, they make a grand appearance, and right off the bat, Booster crushes a bunch of Hornets. Booster, we've got.
I really love how Booster's story comes together. It's just, sometimes sheer brute strength can be one of the best assets you can have.
Booster, the biggest Buzz Lightyear fanboy this side of the planet.
Well, it's great because he's brute strength mixed with kind of like encyclopedic knowledge.
And voiced by the wonderful Stephen First, who was fanboy from Freakazoid.
Oh, nice.
Stephen, and of course, Animal House. That's his big claim to fame.
Of course.
Anyway, so he crushes the Hornets. Nicest guy, and can be the least violent man, least violent creature, and he's still just crushing things. So let's see. So we got XR coming by, and basically they're in pursuit of Dark Matter, trying to leave. And like Dark Matter's, I get a sense it's like Dark Matter's kind of first interaction since the movie, if I'm remembering correctly, or at least one of the early interactions.
Seems like that. Yeah, it definitely seems like that.
Yeah, I remember it's been a while. I remember they did hold off a few episodes before they reintroduced Dark Matter into the team. So I think this might have been his reintroduction, just to establish where they stand with things. So they know who he is from the movie.
I find XR to honestly probably be the most interesting character in this whole show.
Yeah, this XR kind of had basically they got Larry Miller to do the voice of XR in the movie and a few episodes. So sometimes I go back and forth. This one is Neil Flynn. He's the regular XR for the majority of the series because he's cheaper. But he's awesome though. Yeah, Neil Flynn. And
what I like about XR is that his personality is constantly changing just based on the situation and based on who's hacking into him and everything. He's a very expansive Play-Doh, he's like a writer's equivalent of like Play-Doh. You know what I mean? You can do anything with him.
Yeah, it's the idea that XR since what was established in the movie is that XR started off. He has this really kind of interesting backstory. He starts off as just kind of like the by the book, watch and learn Ranger. Then when he gets destroyed and he gets brought back by LGMs who still have like little mind link issues going on. It's
great. They're like pumping him full of like watermelons and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, basically giving the Inspector Gadget rebuild.
Oh god.
And in doing so, they give him more personality. And so XR is just kind of he's a laid back guy. He just wants to just kind of hang around, be lazy. But he's dedicated to the job though, and he's just more. He's the most laid back about it. That's the idea.
Absolutely,
it's hilarious because of that. And he is basically they bring this back to you. The idea of what happens to XR in this episode. He constantly, whenever Nose 482 and XR are in a scene together, they have this history together.
Oh, okay, that's it.
It's always like it's really hilarious. Anyway, so Dark Matter's calling him Tin Toy, and he brings up, no, I'm actually made of that's common misconception. I'm actually made of a beryllium carbonic alloy, which you'll remember from Toy Story. Again, the world building they did read the Bible on Toy Story for the series.
There you go.
Buzz Lightyear.
That's what I love about Pixar in general, man. It's like they just have all these little faucets of detail hidden in their film.
Buzz Lightyear spacesuit, I believe the wings and the jetpack specifically are made out of the beryllium carbonic alloy. They mention that when the toys are gathered on the bed asking about with the wings.
Nice.
Okay, anyways, he's getting around there, and then Dark Matter is just he dispatches with them. I forget exactly what it is. Then Mira appears, and Mira, voiced by one of my favorite voice actresses, short of Great Delisles, or Great Griffin as she's going by now. Nicole Sullivan, who voices Shigo and Kim Possible. And it's such a wonderful counterpoint, because here she's so pleasant and spunky, and the other one she's just so sardonic and just... she's the dark matter of Kim Possible, essentially.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. She does a great delivery with this character.
And
like every time she talks, it's just like, you just kind of get like, she's just so pleasant. I don't know.
And this is early Mira Nova too. Like, she's still trying to do things by the book. She's still the rookie. The idea, she's like, they're all rookies. That's the idea. And Buzz Lightyear's the only season 1.
Of course.
But still, though, Mira's like the one who, like, she was the one. She's kind of breaking rank. She's a princess by nature, and she's kind of defeating the Disney princess model in many ways.
Yeah. Why isn't she a Disney princess? Huh? Why isn't she had her big like coronation at Cinderella Castle? Yeah, this is an insult.
Can you imagine if somehow it was animated that this Mira's walking up there, she's in a dress, and she's like pushes a button, then she flies out of the dress in the spacesuit? That'd be so cool.
Oh god.
That would be a coronation ceremony. I'd love to see that. But anyway, so yeah, Mira's by the book. And still, and the wonderful thing about Mira Nova is that because she's so pleasant, she's still a little insecure, and just a little, she's a newbie at it.
Exactly.
In Dark Matter, he does his mind trick, not like a mind meld, but he uses like literally a mind that pops out of his shoulder, his robotic arm. And Dark Matter loves messing with the rookies, because rookies always so much fun. He loves. He's a seasoned ranger too. The idea this guy's Buzz Lightyear's counterpart. And anyway, so then Buzz Lightyear appears, uses this great jetpack trick, which actually is a fun. I caught this on when I was rewatching it. It's such a great reference to the movie, because remember, that was that dramatic moment where Dark Matter saves Buzz Lightyear.
That's true. That's very true.
Again, the whole sacrificial moment, he pushes the jetpack button, and he zooms out of there.
But of course, then we learned that was just totally just a misdirection moment.
Absolutely. He still lost an arm, though. He might have lost an arm during that. I'm not sure if they did the RoboCop thing on him, or actually lost the arm there. But anyway, so then Buzz Lightyear, he pulls the trick on Dark Matter, which is hilarious. Just Dark Matter just crashes into the ceiling. It's pretty cool. It's like that's the fun world we live in, where we have jetpacks on every character. Yeah. It's like push it when the guy's not looking, and then shoot right into the ceiling. Okay, so let's see. So then there's a hornet attack. The Rangers say they can handle it while they go after Dark Matter. They're still getting used to being a team. Again, the Mira's still reiterating the whole, like, don't call me princess. And that's their nickname for princess. And they don't mean it. Like, they usually say Mira.
Well, excuse me, princess. I'm sorry, I had to.
Let's see. So then Dark Matter's kind of a plasma cannon show off. And he's basically in this weapon.
Hey, weapons like that aren't allowed at Star Command.
I just love this. Buzz Lightyear's such a law-abiding ranger. He's still saying, I'm adding, and wonderfully delivered by Patrick Warburton, who does a great job too. And he also voices the LGMs in the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, it's him on helium or pitched up.
Oh my God! Oh wow! Okay, I would not.
Even in the movie, it's always been him. Just when they're in the opening, that's Jeff Pigeon. But when it's in the movie and in the show, it's always
okay.
Warburton. Okay. What's this? That's an arm. Oh, I told you, it's only $10. Okay, anyway, so Dark Matter's got a plasma cannon. He's plasma mirror. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna charge that too. An illegal firearm. Okay, so let's see. So what's in here? Okay, anyway, so there's this box in the room, and Tiki, please restrain yourself from references, please.
BlueDragonFive, I have one question for you. I have one question. I won't play the clip, but I do have to ask you the question, okay? Can I just ask the question?
All right, one time.
All right, one time, all right? What's in the box? I spared you the clip, but I still had to ask. What's in the box, BlueDragonFive?
We'll find out.
Fucking box!
Okay, anyway, so basically as Dark Matter blasts this plasma cannon. It holds.
You know me too well.
Yes, it holds in midair, and of course it's over this little coffin-like box. What's going on there? Basically, the power is, it's an amazing, and Buzz is impressed. He thinks it's Miranova. She's standing right next to him using her Tangine powers, and as you know, her powers like phasing through stuff and mind meld.
Yeah, it's cool. She has like these ghost powers essentially.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And anyway, so Buzz thinks, okay, it must be one of your powers are amazing, Nova. Well, it's not me, Buzz, and it's the box. Anyway, so the box then absorbs the energy, which is really interesting. And then just kind of drains like the whole room, really, like all the Hornets, like they're Kaputski, army of Hornets, like they're all down.
I love the device of the Hornets as the robots. That's just another layer of just cool role building.
I believe inspired by Phantom Menace, by the way.
Well, okay, they are so much cooler than those fucking battle droids.
Yeah, that's the idea, because you got to remember, of course, Toy Story drawing a lot of inspiration from Star Wars, as the show.
Oh boy. I mean, those battle droids. I think those battle droids don't get enough shit, honestly. Like, there are a lot of other bad things about the Phantom Menace, but those battle droids are so useless.
The robot designs were so good in this show. They really were,
They were. And these what are they called? The Hornets?
Yeah.
They're well designed, and they're also very intimidating.
Oh yeah, like this V-shaped head on all of them.
Right, and of course with Hornets, like their namesake, they have the potential to just swarm around you and overwhelm you. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's see. So basically, then that's some box. I love how they keep commenting on the box. That's some box. We got to get a box. Like they're all just super impressed by.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep referencing the box. That this is gonna torture Tiki, and he's gonna want to reference 7, but BlueDragonFive isn't going to want him to reference 7. This is just all their plan.
Okay, anyway, so as Dark Matter makes his escape, he sets the freighter to self-destruct, which is not good.
No.
So anyway, so the Rangers split up. Okay, Booster, you get the cargo. XR, you get the pilot, which is basically it's an autopilot that is it's actually very similar to the Star Tours pilot.
I know this is probably your first flight, and it's mine too.
It's kind of a funny idea that you don't have to put so many like workers in danger during these runs. You just have like a single robot do your autopilot.
Exactly.
Of course, they still have to save them though, because you care about every being. That's the thing. All the robots in this world, they're not expendable. They're actually real people in this world, so you do care about every robot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so XR's task with saving the robot was just pretty much tugging him because he doesn't have any legs, just tugging him from the pilot's seat. It's just he's not exactly the most gracious rescuee. Anyways, it's this really fun save of the panicked pilot, just like freaking out for everything. Anyway, then, great job, XR. Basically, it's like a huge explosion happens on the freight after they all get out of there, get the cargo out of there. Oh, no, come on, Ranger, make it out of there. And he makes it out of there, more or less. Still, things got caught in the backdraft of the explosion, got a little close to call. Then Commander Nebula calls in. They're on the ship. They're all hunky-dory, and they're all just kind of the aftermath of the mission. So Commander Nebula calls in. Commander Nebula also voiced by Adam Carolla. Death itself from Family Guy. Let's see. So, also really hilarious. He does like the ticked off commander.
And then XR is trying to call him Dad, and he's like, "Don't call me Pop."
Now this is the best run that's been there since for the whole series. So this keeps getting better and better. Actually, has a really heartwarming ending by the end of the series.
Nice,
really
nice.
Let's just say I'm just going to tell you that XR has a brother, and let's just say a little family gets formed by the end of the show.
Interesting. That makes me kind of want to watch.
And that's one of our other monster characters, by the way. It's XL. Yeah, XL is XR's brother.
I was kind of guessing XL had something to do with XR.
And he's the Frankenstein. He's basically a Frankenstein robot.
You're drawing me in, man. Like, this show has like Universal monster movie parallels.
Yeah. And they do cross over, so they get their individual episodes.
Oh man, I would have never guessed that from a fucking Buzz Lightyear cartoon.
And of course, you got the XR XL, like the brother, like the betrayed brother story of like they never wanted me.
Oh god.
This whole thing, of course, like fighting over Dad. It's hilarious. Anyway, Commander Nebula again, XR just always calls him Pop because he shows he's bragging about the requisition form, the work order form. He says, signed by Commander. And you love XR because he just views Commander Nebula as giving him life, and he's so gracious, and this is his father. He loves him to pieces. And of course, Nebula, he's you'll know about Commander Nebula in this series. He's very anti-technology. His desk is a robot, always moving around.
Definitely knew that. Yeah.
The idea is like the desk is like a dog. He never wants around. And, like it literally works like a dog. It's like a fighter. Like the drawer sticks out like a tongue. It's really hilarious. It's just he hates technology, yet he needs it.
Of course.
Yeah, and he never signed off on the Robot Ranger, and he always makes fun of XR by saying Expendable Ranger. That's what it stands for.
Oh, that's cold, man.
And again, XR never deterred because he has nothing but love for his father, which is adorable.
That's true.
Okay, anyways, also let's see. So then, why don't you check out the black box? See what details you can get on what was the cargo on the ship. Well, what is?
I hope you don't find Gwyneth Paltrow's head. Just saying.
Not that
Just
black.
saying. Hope that's not in there.
Not that black box. The pilot box. I thought it was an interesting idea, by the way. Of course, any pilot would have that.
Yeah, you're right.
XR reaches in there, but it's all melted and gooey. So okay, well, not that black box. You have anything else in there? So obviously, XR is getting blamed by Commander Nebula. So XR is being blamed by Commander Nebula because he was supposed to save the civilian.
I can't believe you just worked Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head into a joke. Well done, sir.
Say, what did I didn't do that intentionally.
Well, no, you said he stuck his hand in the box and it came up all melted and gooey.
Oh, that's not that. First of all, the box, I'm not even going to get into
it. All right, anyway.
So basically, XR is going to check on the mystery cargo, and there's this really hilarious thing. The pilot says, but the funniest line of the whole episode, the pilot says, "Oh, you're making an exception for him because he's the commander's son." And then Commander Nebula says, "He's not my son." And then the line that brings down the house. The pilot says,
"Oh, you're one of those."
thinks he's like he's like a racist father or something.
Right.
Oh, you're one of those. Like basically not a racist. It's like the disapproving father of like if the son was anything other than what he intended it to be.
Pretty clever.
You're like finding, like a son not taking the career path or being gay or being of a different.
You're not my son. I don't have a son.
You're one of those fathers.
Right.
That game is now Commander Nebula importantly charges going to be Buzz's run through episode. Charges Buzz with a performance evaluation and tells him he wants the truth or XR is getting shut down.
Oh boy.
They're getting some pressure on there, and of course Buzz, he loves XR. We all love XR. But again, Buzz Lightyear's kind of the Jim Gordon in a way. He's always dedicated to paperwork, doing a good job doing what the commander says. He's not breaking rank. He needs to. Basically, Buzz Lightyear needs to prove that XR has got the right stuff, like he knows he does, and that's a good old Buzz Lightyear.
That's what I love about Buzz in this show is that he's got so much faith in his crew, and it was kind of a cool turnaround story arc for him in the first episode, where it literally starts with him like, I'm never going to have a partner again, to now he's got a whole team and he cares very deeply about each and every one of them.
Oh yeah, you'll see the lengths that these heroes go to each other. Like they've gone to each other's home planets. There's an origin episode for each of these guys. Like,
oh dear, did they go to one of their home planets for Life Day?
Not well. Actually, I'm trying to think if it was like a Life Day. Oh wait, actually, kind of yes.
Are you serious?
It's not Life Day, but it's a holiday. It's called the Harvest. Basically, Booster, he's turning in. Booster is not going home for a holiday. Essentially, it's like an annual thing. It's a harvest because he comes from a farming planet, and he mutates into a harvest crazy monster. Because he's not there, and basically they have to get him there for the harvest, or else he's just going to go nuts in the field.
Is Zurg threatening to shut down B. Arthur's bar?
No, but in a parallel universe episode, you can see Emperor Zurg as a fry jockey. Pretty funny.
Okay, so I hate to say it, but we probably have to go through this relatively quick because my parents just went to bed. So.
All right. Okay, so we see we're on Planet Z. So Zurg wants details. He wants details about what happened. Was Buzz Lightyear victorious? Yes. Outstanding. And of course, Warp Dark Matter is very perplexed by this. What's going on?
Failure usually equals death.
Well, not usually, but not this time. It was all part of my plan, knew Zurg, wonderfully voiced by Wayne Knight, gloating about the plan. That was my plan for him to get the box. He says, wait, that was a cool box. Why can't I have a box like that? That's a box of doom. You don't want that. I love the sincerity. He says, dark matter. That's a box of doom. You don't want that.
It's not for you.
Yeah, it's a box of doom. It's not for you. So I love the delivery on that line.
It's like him trying to protect a child or something. It's not for you.
Exactly. Now,
It's
seriously
not
though,
safe.
in terms of Zurg's plan, Zurg throughout the series, he's had some good plans and he's had some silly plans. This is a really good plan though. Actually, he says it. He wants Buzz Lightyear to deliver the end of Star Command, which is actually really clever.
Symbolically, yes, that's very high stakes there.
Yeah, he wants his archenemy to deliver death to the system he loves so much, the Star Command thing he's upheld so dearly, and he wants Buzz Lightyear to hand deliver the end to law and order in the galaxy.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so XR, he's giving a log on the mystery cargo, and it's still mysterious.
And then this is a great build for our villain, by the way.
It is.
Like the first act complete without this guy until the end here, where he.
And then what happens? The vampire rises from the box.
Nose 482 rises. It's great mystery here. A lot of shadow. It's like he rises in shadow and get a full view of him quite yet. Don't resist me, little one. And he's voiced by the wonderful, the talented, so good he actually had a show for a while, Craig Ferguson. Yeah.
Oh, really? I never would have guessed.
Yeah, that's Craig Ferguson.
Wow.
He's got voice. He's got range. You never realize how much range Craig Ferguson has.
Right.
This
wow,
is
okay.
Usually, he's in Freakazoid. He was the Scotsman. He was Roddy. Of course,
well, that fits more in line with a classic Craig Ferguson role.
That's the thing. That's an average one. You get a little range there with that Train Dragon. Now there's a big range right here.
I feel like Owl in the Winnie the Pooh movie was also kind of stretching his wings a little bit, pun intended.
But you see what I mean? He's got some great acting chops. That Craig.
Sure.
I always love now. Just let's talk about Nosferatu for a second here. Just seriously, such a cool concept.
You're drawing me into the show with the whole three of the main villains are basically takes on Universal monsters. I mean, that is fucking awesome.
And they're all actually, when you think about it, they all in some way are connected to XR.
Right.
Because it all stems from the Nose 482. Nose 482 and XR as he bites, the whole thing with XR. Then you have XL, of course, in connection to XR, and then of course Nose 482 biting our human ranger, which gives us our werewolf.
Sure.
So all connected. Anyway, so just seriously, such a cool. This design always stuck with me as a kid, just seeing kind of this perfect triangle shape with these energy wings that pop out and these little drilling fangs. Seriously, the idea of an energy vampire is an idea I can't recall ever thinking about a robotic vampire outside of the show.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, if you have a show with sentient robots, all droids and everything all over the place, that's the perfect villain. You want and here's the brilliant thing of it: vampires at this time, I know at least in the '90s, it was really frowned upon. It was always a struggle to go with a vampire.
Well, vampires. Let's see. Around that time, they had about 10 years ago, they did Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. And that was really the last one that took itself seriously.
Yeah, but I mean on TV animation, though. That was the thing. Batman the Animated Series, they tried to get away with a vampire villain, but they couldn't at that time because of the networks. They said, no, absolutely not on a kid's show.
Oh,
never.
Okay.
Now, this is years later. This is a few years later, bear in mind. But I think thing is, in the animation, you have the caveat of you can have all the violent things you want happen as long as it's to a robot. So what I'm thinking is it was kind of, they figured, well, it's a vampire.
There was a similar loophole that Samurai Jack did.
Exactly. So basically here it's you can have a vampire, but he's a robotic vampire and he only feeds on vampires. I mean, no, he only feeds on robots.
On vampires.
And again, the only time they ever really strayed away from that was the one time he bit a ranger, and he mentioned blood, but you never saw blood.
Sure.
Blood. It was so cool though. So when he's oh my god, he got blood, and it's so freaky. But still, it's such a cool idea for Craig Ferguson delivering this great Lovecraftian delivery on it. It's oh god, it's so
absolutely
terrifying. And you'll notice this character is so great because throughout the episode you're going to hear he has this. It's like how Chewbacca has a compilation of roars. Nose 482 has this metallic bear roar. Like a metallic lion's roar or something, just this really terrifying metallic sound to it. And then, of course, he has opera music playing behind him whenever he's this operatic build, whenever he's on screen attacking someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's always awesome. Okay, let's see. So then we're in Star Command. LGMs are impressed by the large box. Let's see. They put on a security field. So after work, NOS 482 dramatically arises and he calls for XR, and XR is sleeping in the nearby area, and then he becomes a minion. The classic hypnotized minion of the vampire.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But he's been bitten.
Whoa! Wait, was that me laughing? I love this idea that he's like becoming the henchman, and yet he's aware of it and kind of sarcastic about the situation.
There's actually this hilarious bit, again, whenever these two have a history together going forward with this, and the idea is XR, like, when he spontaneously turns into a still into the mind-controlled servant, he says, wait,
Right.
I deleted that program.
Kind of reminds me of Gravity Falls really quick. There was this great episode where they had some of the townspeople turn into zombies, and Seuss had one of the best lines where he was chasing Mabel and Dipper, and he was like, sorry, dudes, I really don't want to do this. I just really want to eat your brains, raw.
Okay, so
it was still Seuss. It was still Seuss's personality, just a zombie.
So NOS 482 demands release. Again, you get to see the NOS 482 in his grand, gloriously designed glory.
Gloriously designed glory, BlueDragonFive.
Okay, so now we destroy Star Command and let the feast begin.
Oh yes, oh
And
yes.
he starts at the communications networks. Again, really kind of freaky stuff is about that with NOS 482 and the systems of Star Command. One of the most vivid memories from this show is coming up. Okay, so let's see. We got Buzz and Mira. They're looking through tapes just to find some proof of XR's capabilities, which is nice. Again, Buzz Lightyear not giving up on his friend here, but
I'm assuming this is footage from old episodes, or is it just new footage?
it's new footage.
New footage? Okay, that's neat.
Yeah, remember, it was early in, so I
That they
don't.
went out their way to make new footage when they could have easily just been like, "Hey, remember this?
Yeah. So let's see.
Remember this wacky moment from XR?"
So it starts with like the ultimate blooper reel. Looks like it's about to start with like to infinity, and basically XR just drops from the ceiling, just crashes on Buzz Lightyear's head. And says, hey! And then there was the shape-shifting ambassador. Like they're going through the store, and then they're playing the footage. Oh, I know the shape-shifting ambassador. Maybe he did some good work on that, didn't he? They play the footage and just hear him making fun of.
Oh God!
The
Oh God!
just saying, oh, he's so snooty, and then basically ends up somehow the ambassador got squashed by XR.
Is it fair to say that this is just like, is it borderline racist or is just straight up racist?
No, I think it's just absurd. It's not looking very becoming. I don't think it's a racist. I just think it's him saying, "Oh, I'm an ambassador." He's literally just saying.
You're right. It's more just him making a jackass out of himself.
Exactly, and then I think he actually squishes the ambassador, so it might be like an assault on the ambassador too.
Oh dear! Oh dear!
You hear
Not
like
good.
a squash. Again, there's a red alert. You know, Booster's worried for his friend, and as Booster is, and then the red alert, he just like looks up. Oh, red alert! Red alert! So this is hilarious. The LGMs in Commander Nebula.
Yes, this was my favorite gag in the whole episode.
So first of all, I love this idea of the LGMs in Commander Nebula. They play cards together. I love that.
Right.
And then basically, you hear Commander Nebula over the PA system saying, "Red alert! All Rangers, get to the spaceships, get out of here."
And then Nebula's just like, "Now, what's wrong with this picture?" And I love it because the little green men are like, "Oh no! Ooh, Nebula sent out a red alert."
Okay, now what's wrong with this picture? It makes the LGMs. I mean, they're brilliant. They're brilliant innovators, but still, occasionally they get a little. They can't see the big picture or the small picture in this case.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so then they're locked in while the Rangers are leaving. Basically, they're evacuating from Star Command, so damage can be done on the inside.
Not good. Not good.
And Neb is remaining captured here, so we got an issue.
Indeed.
So let's see. XR is XR in a cape.
Right. And this is where kind of like the intentionally bad Bela Lugosi impression, I think, kind of comes into play.
Oh yes. Okay, let's see. So we got status report going on here. Oh yeah. Zerg's calling in the NOS 482 for status reports. Like, is Star Command evacuated with is clear as it going? Says basically NOS 482 is giving him guff. Says don't take don't take that tone with me. And basically, Zurg lays on the daddy guilt. just lays it on there, like, oh, I slaved over so many hours to create you. And then Nosferatu's getting embarrassed. Let's not lose our heads. Let's not embarrass oneself. Poor Nosferatu. He's like so embarrassed to have Zurg as his father sometimes.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Star Command is mine, and they all get into. I have hostages and Star Command's mine. And Buzz Lightyear is chasing his own jet trail, and they all laugh, and then XR's like, can I join in for a laughing threesome? And they all laugh. Oh, really funny.
And then the Star Command crew, they're out in space, and they're just all noticing this isn't very Red Alert-ish.
Yeah, just the deep blackness of space. Something's up here. And then
it's
this
quiet.
is... Now, I love this.
This is a great touch.
Buzz calls Commander Nebula, see what's up. Sir doesn't seem very Red Alert-ish. It says, hey, that's what that basically always trust the machine. Then that gives it away.
And then they're like, oh, hell no.
Buzz Lightyear knows without a second of thought. Okay, Commander Nebula, that's not Commander Nebula. He always complains about robots. We're going back.
Not our commander.
Oh, yeah, really awesome.
Now, BlueDragonFive, do you know what this reminded me of?
What?
Just so I get the excuse to do my Miss Piggy impression for the evening. Kermit, will you marry me? Oh, sure, of course. Let's do it. Kermit, will you marry me? Well, gee, I mean, I don't know. We could, but oh, that's my Kermit. Oh, kissy.
Bit of a stretch to do a Miss Piggy impression, I gotta say.
No, I don't know, but it's still kind of like, it's like, obviously the real Kermit would be the one who's kind of skeptical about getting married, whereas the real Nebula would be the one who's very skeptical about technology.
Anyway, so Buzz and Mira, they head back and they finally get to meet Nose4A2.
Oh boy.
Nose4A2 is unimpressed with Buzz Lightyear.
I think the cleverest thing about Nose4A2, I mean, I guess besides just his design and everything, is I really love his fucking name.
Oh yeah.
Like, I almost feel like Star Wars should be jealous of not inventing this.
So yeah, it's so great because it's obviously it's a reference to Nose4A2, but with letters and
but when you sent me the episode title, I was like, wait, what? NOS4A2? What? And then in the episode when he says his name, it's like, oh, Nosferatu. I get it. I see what you did there.
So in addition to Nose4A2's awesome powers and awesome design, what he's able to do, again, Energy Vampire, such a brilliant idea.
Right.
No one's ever thought of it outside of the show.
I know.
What he's able to do is he's also able to kind of like some vampires are in fiction. Like can't really call any examples that are kind of fitting of this caliber. Basically, he can possess things too. He possesses wire. He can possess some technology. He basically possesses the wires to attack.
Mm-hmm.
So like Buzz and Mira, like wrap them up and stuff. So let's see. The suit. So he takes a bite. He bites Mira's suit.
Yeah, but it's okay because it didn't get through the suit.
So also the exposition is also exchanged in the scene, revealing that that was the cargo. It was him. That was the box.
Ranger, you are not helping with your service rank.
As XR is revealed, and that's not. And also the opera cue starts here when Nosferatu attacks Mira and Buzz here. So then
it's a great music cue. It really kind of like ups the ante.
It's like they get so operatic, like da 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 da. Just again, this Nosferatu is one of the coolest aesthetics they've ever had for Buzz Lightyear of Star Command villain. They really
so Nosferatu starts controlling Miri's suit, and she gets out of it. There's a brief fight with the suit.
Like Buzz is like firing around and says, "I said I was sorry," and then the suit's beating Buzz and saying it's the suit that's been taking control of, and she phases out of the suit. I said I was sorry.
Defeat is unacceptable. I was programmed only for victory.
Oh, so cool! And you're hearing that from the machine, so of course it's like absolutely every fiber of his being, he will not be defeated. That is very terrifying.
Right.
I was programmed to be swift and destructive. For swift and destructive victory. So then you get you get Buzz and Mirror, two very, determined basically Buzz giving a speech, but two determined Rangers, force cannot be stopped, and then they slam into a wall that Nebula's put up as just filling with the emergency doors.
Womp womp.
But seriously, it's just really cool as Buzz Lightyear, getting the fight Nosferatu a little bit there previously to that moment. Then you get some comedy. It's kind of, you have to get away from the environment. They're outmatched, obviously. The suits can be taken control of. That's not good, and that's going to lead to an awesome visual.
Sure.
So let's see. So they basically tell the exposition like it's an energy vampire. XR is under his control, and Mirror. It's a mirror comedy. It's like saying kind of yes. You're basically saying XR has been taken.
You saw him? Yeah, we kind of fought him.
Yeah, basically trying to make it sound like XR, one of our Rangers is turned rogue, make it not sound like a bad thing.
Right.
So then you get this great bit of like Buzz wants to fight Nosferatu, the vampire's mind. That's so cool. So you guys handle XR, the vampire's mind. So cool.
I could also see Buzz saying that about the Michael C. Hall version of Batman.
Oh god, don't.
The vampire's mind.
Oh god, he's so cool.
Right.
Anyway, so Commander Nebula is saying XR is a traitor, and Booster's like, no, it's not possible. And Booster's vehemently he says, no, XR is not beyond saving, which is a great character point for Booster.
Sure.
He's not giving up on him. Then we have really awesome visual, always stuck in my nostalgic mind as a child, just the army of zombie spacesuits.
That is definitely the best visual of the episode, and definitely the thing that I will give points for in terms of being like, it's a nice thing to turn on and be like, oh man, that's really striking. That's a good Halloween visual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the door raises. Okay, we got backup, and then the reveal, no heads. Oh boy, army of zombie spacesuits. He's been feeding. Now he's got control over them. We're doomed. We're outnumbered. So Zurg
Nosferatu is taunting Buzz. He's basically saying that Zurg overestimated him.
And it gives that roar. You know that roar, right? Just that metallic roar. Leave it to Zurg to create a foe that has a bigger ego than himself. There's more of an ego than himself, really.
Yeah. Then Booster's trying to wake up XR. He's like, XR, it's me, buddy. You mean nothing to me. Oh boy!
Yeah, poor Booster's fighting his buddy XR. Now the idea is throughout the series, you see XR and Booster are always kind of the comedy team. They're paired up a lot. So it's always kind of
I definitely got that dynamic.
If they ever do like the Scooby-Doo split, it's always usually Buzz and Mirror and then XR and Booster.
Yeah, God.
Not get your mind out of the gutter. Not that way.
Miri.
Okay. Okay. So then Nosferatu cannot be defeated. He basically tries to, as Booster's trying to break through XR, the Booster finally pulls out various items like for cooking, and he pulls out like a teddy bear, a sled, and I'm sure it's like the Rosebud sled. Pulls out a raft, and then he let's see. So this is a gross, and I think Buzz Lightyear says this is a gross misuse of Star Command property.
Yes.
Again, that's a classic Buzz Lightyear line. Anyways, then let's see. So Nebula orders XR be destroyed. This is a great tension-filled moment. Booster, he does not want to destroy
It is.
XR.
They kind of like wrap this into the whole episode.
And short of Buzz Lightyear, Booster is the most law-abiding Ranger because he's a rookie. So I mean, he's always he looked up to Buzz Lightyear and the rulebook that he wrote. Gotta bear in mind, Buzz Lightyear wrote half the rulebook. He's the most senior Ranger out of all of them, short of Nebula.
Right.
So basically, he's going against ranks, and that's something Booster usually would never do. But for XR, says he respectfully refuses. Like, sorry, sir, I can't do that. Anyway, so he found it. There it is, and he pulls out the work order. And basically, he saves XR by showing him, "Look, XR, this isn't you. Look at the work order." And then he sees it, and then he's reminded of his father.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good kind of heartwarming callback there.
So then XR, he rolls up the Nosferatu, and he defeats him with his suction cup, siphoning.
I am more than a machine. I am a space ranger.
How can you defeat me? I'm a space ranger, and that's just defeating the bad guy and saying I'm a space ranger. That's really cool.
It is. It is.
And it's really cool with, just so you know, in the future, with Nosferatu, is that he never gets defeated the same way twice because he's upgraded himself since this defeat. And, like, XR tries it on him again.
Nice,
Says,
nice.
like, XR tries the thing, and he's all confident, saying, "Well, if I can defeat that Nosferatu, I got the suction cup hands."
Aww.
And he tries it on him, and then he says, "I've upgraded since then."
Oh boy. So this is really drawing me in, man. I feel like some of these villains definitely have good arcs in this show.
Oh, and then that's going in my report. And then this is sweet. Commander Nebula saying, "Hey, look, you don't need to screw the reporting. We don't need a report. You heard him. He's a space ranger."
Yeah, props to Nebula. Props to Nebula.
Then XR's calling, "Oh, thanks, Pop. Stop calling me Pop. Oh, come on, Dad." Okay, so let's see. So then there's
a good tag to end out on.
No, you take us through it.
Okay, so Buzz is watching Zurg on. I assume it's a live feed of him, right?
Yeah, Zurg loves calling. Again, he can call into Star Command for these moments.
And he's just watching Zurg basically gloat and kind of just vent off steam. And Miri, she's just like, well, why not just shut this off? And Zurg's like, Buzz is like, wait a minute.
Because basically Buzz says,
and
importantly, Buzz says his line again from Toy Story, and that line they was kind of again they were really referential to the Toy Story Bible here when he says, it's not today, Zurg. He says, well, not today, Zurg. You're not going to destroy Star Command today. Just wait for it, and then they curse you, Buzz Lightyear. Now,
never gets old.
Which is that's the runner, by the way. That Zurg always says, "Curse you, Buzz Lightyear." That's his catchphrase.
Sure. All right, so where do we want to do? Where do we want to go? Little bit, do something a little good, something a little bad, a little bit of both. Kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, bad in a good way. To infinity and beyond.
And beyond. Yeah. All right, and that was Buzz Lightyear Star Command. NOS. 4A2. Okay, so we really broke down this series. I feel like this was a good introductory point for me to the series, unlike the freaking Christmas episode was, because I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Tiki, let me just tell you one more detail about the series. If nothing else I've said to you is going to suck you in, this last detail is going to completely suck you into it.
Okay, really quick.
There's an episode. And he comes back for another one, but there is an episode. It's a two-part. It's so big. It's a two-part, and then he comes back for another one, where we have the ultimate villain, short of Nosferatu and Zurg's awesomeness. There's one villain that kind of tops it. There is an evil Buzz Lightyear.
You'll have to sell me on that.
I'm saying there is. You remember, it's like how there's diluted Buzz from Toy Story 2.
That's true.
So they have literally there's a parallel universe where everyone's kind of topsy-turvy. So basically there's an evil.
So
Buzz
it's basically like bearded Spock.
Literally Buzz with a goatee, and he's the Zurg of that
universe.
universe.
It's literally Buzz with a goatee. They really do that.
It's Buzz with a goat. It's basically
the goatee is what sells me.
It's based on the evil Kirk. He has the goatee, and
of course. It's based on Mirror. It's a best Star Trek episode, in my opinion.
He's in this awesome version of the Zurg costume, minus the helmet, with the L instead of the Z.
Oh God!
You know what's so terrifying about this Buzz Lightyear, Tiki?
What?
He destroyed Star Command in his universe and many planets.
Oh no!
And Zurg lures him into this universe by saying, "Well, I have an opponent that's truly worth your merit. One Buzz Lightyear." Oh, it's so cool.
No, I mean, yeah, between the pilot and then between the other Haunted episode that I happened to watch before I realized this is the one we were supposed to watch, and that wasn't a bad episode either. I was all ready to talk about that one, maybe next year. But between the pilot and this, I'm pretty hooked into the show. I'm not saying I'm just going to instantly just be like, all right, let's marathon the crap out of this. I need to watch all of this in a week. I'm not going to do that. But I'm interested enough that every so often I'm definitely going to give it a watch and kind of try and catch myself up, because there's some really good world building going on.
Yeah, well, the first episode has Brad Garrett in it, so that's a seller right there.
Of course.
But this episode, though, Nosferatu, really kind of has a spooky Halloween.
I still don't really think it's a Halloween episode by any stretch, but we've said that certain episodes, like The Haunted Train from Hey Arnold is a good example of an episode that doesn't necessarily need to be set on Halloween to still have a big Halloween feel to it.
Definitely has a spooky atmosphere in this one. The energy vampire and the zombie spacesuits.
Yeah, it's unconventional. I mean, you'll give me that. It's definitely an unconventional choice for a Halloween special.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I like it, though. I like the connection between classic Universal horror monsters. I feel like in terms of pop culture, those are kind of actually fading away, and I feel like they need to make kind of a comeback. Like, I don't know. I don't want them to just reboot it. I think what they should do is just, like, release all the Universal monster movies in theaters one Halloween. Like, how cool would that be? Like, go to the theaters to see fucking Dracula and then Frankenstein and the Wolfman and the Mummy.
And of course, now looking at this, though, it's kind of an interesting take on it that, Nosferatu is in celebration of the classic Lugosi style vampire, and that, he does the classic.
Well, I would argue he's actually more of the Max Schreck kind of vampire, the Nosferatu vampire, that model.
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, it's in the vein of, like, some classic stuff, and that, it's like how Lugosi had the charm, and that he would, like, hypnotize people like that. It's kind of like that sort of, like, Lugosi thing, but it has elements of all the classic ones in various different ways,
Absolutely.
You see a little bit of Christopher Lee in there with kind of, like, even hints of, more so later on, you get hints of Gary Oldman, too.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Because again, Nosferatu gets a little more personality, a bit more comedy now. Like, he actually gets kind of stake through the heart a couple times.
Oh, freaking Gary Oldman.
There's actually a really great episode where when it comes back, I don't know if it's the next time it comes back, but basically in a way, a girl was adopted by these robot parents, and essentially Nosferatu fed on her parents.
Oh.
And she is like this girl's dead set on revenge, and Buzz Lightyear has to kind of talk her out of it. It's some big.
Okay, this is kind of starting to sound like The Walking Dead.
Bear in mind, Nosferatu reoccurs. He's not like uber reoccurring bad. When he comes in, it's a big deal, though.
Right. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
This episode, to me, I mean, it was a great introduction. Nosferatu. I think it's kind of a good, still just kind of embodiment of what the show can be about. All these really cool adventures in Star Command.
It's very unconventional, but it's a fun choice, man. I mean, like I said, you got fucking vampire zombies. I don't think I need to say much more than that. I think it kind of speaks for itself, and it's pulled off really well.
It's an energy vampire. Again, it's like everything you would have thought of. Like, it's basically all the great science fiction ideas kind of blended together for a kid's show.
Did I say vampire zombies?
You said vampire zombies, but...
I meant robot vampires. I'm sorry.
No, but seriously, it's kind of like the great science fiction icons of your Star Wars, your Star Trek, everything else in between. So and a bit of like other,
and then just throw in more icons, which is of course, the Universal monsters,
and all wrapped within kind of a Toy Story shell in the grand scheme, and then of course a primary Buzz Lightyear shell, and
I feel like this show is almost kind of like a sandbox for expanded Toy Story mythology, and I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, and again, with that, it's based on a little window we had for Buzz Lightyear has to come from somewhere, and with that you can shoot for the moon. Like all the adventures you could have gotten, basically making the most desired toy. Can you imagine? Let me ask you. Here's the big question, Tiki. After seeing all what you have seen of this show, and you put yourself in the shoes of Andy, thinking, "Man, I gotta have this toy."
If I was a little kid, yeah, I could see that. If that was like the big thing on TV, definitely. If that was like the Pokemon at the time, for sure.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. The show actually did have toys that were released to tie into the show. The animated show, you have XR, you got XR Booster, and
Booster, of course. I think Booster was kind of like the runaway character from the show, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely think that this show in general has kind of piqued my interest, and I don't have much more to say that.
It's because of this show I never forget the number 42. It sounds silly, but that was their ship number, and I was like, I'll always remember in the back of my mind 42 as the Buzz Lightyear Star Command ship.
It's vampire zombie. God damn it, I did it again. It's vampire robot.
Energy vampire, okay? It's energy vampire.
No, fuck that. It's a vampire robot. And what more do you want? Right?
Yeah.
What more do you want? All right. I forget what the next show on the docket is, so why don't you tell our fine people?
Oh, I believe we're talking about Danny Phantom next. Another kind of
Danny Phantom. Okay, another one that I'm not familiar with, so you'll have to kind of guide our way through that one.
Let me tell you on it like this, just this basic description.
I'm hearing so many theories these days that Danny is actually Timmy Turner.
Oh, forget that. It's basically you mix. It's kind of this great mixture of three things. It's Spider-Man. It's early Spider-Man mixed with Smallville.
Like 60s Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like 60s Spider-Man mixed with Smallville, mixed with the premise of Smallville, mixed with Ghostbusters.
Those are 2 out of 3 really good things.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not saying like the idea of Smallville. I'm just saying it's like early, like a hero in his early days, just kind of getting used to things. It's not. It's barely Smallville, but like I want to say Superman, but I'm like holding off on that completely. You know.
Right.
But it's mainly Spider-Man, and Ghostbusters, pretty much. You know, it's.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward.
And like in a 50s-ish setting, which is really cool.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it because it's definitely. Like, I vividly remember it's one of those shows where I probably should have been watching it at the time, but I just grew out of cartoons. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
I was at that time where I was about like 14 years old when that show came out or something like that, where I was more into like music and movies and stuff like that, and kind of just the idea of watching cartoons in general was kind of phasing out for me, because that's when a lot of the 90s cartoons were phasing out, and a lot of the 2000s era cartoons, like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is another perfect example. I should really get into that show, but at the time I remember just being turned off because it wasn't what I remembered from the 90s, and they were phasing out what I remembered from the 90s.
I'm going to tell you, I think that's where the last of Butch Hartman's talent really went into that show.
Oh, boy.
Like all the last vestiges of like all the great things Butch Hartman could bring to us went into Danny Phantom, and the rest of it just kind of...
So we will discuss that the next time we meet up for Haunted Holiday Hijinx. But in the meantime, folks, our spirits grew weary tonight. But don't worry, they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more Haunted Holiday Hijinx. Oh, let me join in and make it a threesome. Curse you, Buzz Lightyear.